हेलो, स्वदर्शन चक्रधारी ब्राह्मण कुलभूषणों को हम मधुबनवासियों की नमस्ते। आज बुधवार जून की 2 तारीख है। प्रातः क्लास में बाप दादा की मुरली सुनते हैं।
Hello and namaste from us residents of Madhuban to all of the jewels of the Brahmin clan who are spinners of the discus of self-realization. Today is Wednesday, the 2nd of June, 1965, and the morning class are listening to Bapdada's Murli. Mother, O Mother, the giver of life, O Mother, you are the sustainer of the world.
शांति। ये 2 अक्षर जगदम्बा की महिमा के सुने।
Om Shanti. We heard a couple of words in praise of Jagadamba, the World Mother.
ये बच्चों को अभी ये मालूम है अच्छी तरह से, ज्ञान पूरा मिला हुआ है। जो प्रेजेंट होते हैं वो पास्ट होता है।
The children know very well, they've received very detailed knowledge about this, that whatever is now in the present then becomes the past.
ठीक है ना बच्चे?
That's right, isn't it, children?
पास्ट होता है फिर उसको प्रेजेंट होना है।
And then that which is past becomes the present again.
अभी है प्रेजेंट, ये है पास्ट की महिमा।
Now is the present, and we heard the praise of the past.
थी है ऐसे कहेंगे ना बच्चे, जगत
She was and she is. This is what we would say, isn't it, children?
थी जिसकी महिमा गाई जाती है।
That Jagadamba was like this, and this is why she is being praised in this way.
अब जिनमें ज्ञान नहीं है वो तो कहेंगे कि जगदम्बा की महिमा परंपरा से चली आती है।
Now for those who don't have this knowledge, they would say that the praise of Jagdamba has been continuing since time immemorial, before we can even memorize it.
कब से चली आती है ये उनको मालूम नहीं है, तुम बच्चों को मालूम है।
So then from when does this praise commence? They don't know this, but you children do.
कि बरोबर 5000 वर्ष पहले ये जगदम्बा कर्तव्य किया था, कौन सा सब।
That definitely 5,000 years ago, this Jagadamba had performed that task. Which task?
मनोकामनाएं पूर्ण की थी।
She fulfilled the desires in the minds of all souls.
वो वास्तव में कपला कामधेनु कहा जाता था। हाँ?
And this is why she has been remembered as the Kamdhenu of Kapil, the cow that fulfills everyone's desires.
कोई जानवर की तो बात नहीं है ना।
But this is not a question of any animal, is it?
बहुत में कथाएं लिखी हुई है कि बरोबर उनको चुराए ले गए थे कपला कामधेनु को, फिर
They've written very many long stories that this cow was stolen from the Rishi Kapil, and so on. There's many stories like this.
But
they all belong to the past. These stories of the past have now passed. But now they are definitely to be present. They are definitely to be here in the present again. Because the history and geography repeats. And so the children definitely understand that the praise that was sung of Mama's past is now being enacted in the present. Why she is praised, people of the world have no idea. It's the children that know their Mama.
जगत अम्बा व जगत पिता हमारी सभी मनोकामनाएं पूर्ण करती है.
It's those that come and become children here that understand that the world mother and the world father fulfill all the desires of our mind on the basis of the Srimad that they've received.
कामधेनु कहा जाता था. लक्ष्मी को कोई कामधेनु नहीं कहा जाते हैं ना.
She is remembered as Kamdhenu, the cow that fulfills everyone's desires. And this is not a praise of Lakshmi, no.
सभी कामनाएं पूर्ण करने वाली किसके लिए, कहाँ के लिए? भविष्य.
The one who fulfills everyone's desires, where would this one be praised? In the future?
किसी जन्म के लिए. तो भविष्य किसी जन्म के लिए तुम्हारी सभी कामनाएं पूर्ण होती है. कोई भी.
The desires that are fulfilled are for the future 21 births.
ना के लिए न कोई देवी देवताओं के मंदिर वगैरह न कोई इच्छा ही करते हैं.
The deities have no desires, neither do they have any temples.
तुम जानते हो तुम्हारी सब कामनाएं पूर्ण हो जाती है, यानी स्वर्ग के मालिक बन जाते हो बस. और
because now all of your desires are being fulfilled, and then you become deities who are masters of the world. So what more?
इसकी दरकार नहीं है. तो पास्ट जो हो गया आधा कल्प, वो तो तुम्हारी सभी मनोकामनाएं पूर्ण की.
And so there wouldn't be any more that you need. Everything will be fulfilled, and your desires for half a cycle would have been fulfilled.
इस जन्म की. अच्छा, फिर रावण राज चला, ठीक है नहीं?
But then the kingdom of Ravan commenced. That's right, isn't it?
पास्ट जो हो गया आधा कल्प, वो तो तुम्हारी सभी मनोकामनाएं पूर्ण की.
So that which was past for half a cycle, your desires were fulfilled for that period.
इस जन्म की. अच्छा.
That is for 21 births.
फिर रावण राज चला.
And then the kingdom of Ravan continued.
फिर वो भी कामना पूर्ण हो गई, पीछे आया कर्म योग.
And that's right, isn't it? So those desires are also fulfilled, and then what comes at the end? After that? Karma yoga.
भाई जैसा जैसा कर्म करेंगे वैसा वैसा फल पाएंगे.
That means whatever karma we perform, we receive the fruit of that.
नहीं करने में आके जैसा जैसा कर्म करेंगे ऐसा तुम फल पाएंगे, वह नहीं हो सकते हैं. ये बुद्धि
In the Golden Age, you wouldn't be saying that as is the karma that you perform, so will be the fruit that you reap. No, that wouldn't be said there. Children have to use their intellect and judge that is that concept correct?
जगदम्बा से पिता से अच्छा उनको भी तो देने वाला तो बोला भंडारी शिवी है.
And so we take from the world mother, from the world father, and the one who gives to both of them is the innocent Lord Shiva, the one with the treasure store.
द्वारा ये मनोकामना पूर्ण करती है. फिर वहाँ कोई पूजा प्रतिष्ठा कोई की भी वो रहती नहीं है. भक्ति मार्ग का अंश भी नहीं रहता.
And he fulfills everyone's desires through these two, the world father and the world mother. And then there, in the golden and silver ages, no trace of desire remains for the full half a cycle. There is no aspect of the path of bhakti there.
बच्चों को मालूम है, इसमें बच्चों को मालूम है और बेचारे कोई जानते ही नहीं है.
The children know this, and it's only the children that know this. No one else, the poor people, none of them know.
अभी तुम जानते हो बरोबर जगदम्बा शिव बाबा द्वारा अभी भविष्य किसी जन्म के लिए हमारी सभी कामनाएं फिर से पूर्ण कर रही है.
Now you know that Shiv Baba is fulfilling all of our desires through Jagdamba once again for the future half a cycle.
अभी जगदम्बा कर रही है किसके मत पर है?
Now, Jagadamba, the world mother, is doing it upon whose directions?
उनका भी तो कोई होगा ना बच्चे. तो देखो बरोबर श्री मत पर जगदम्बा चल और बरोबर मनोकामनाएं पूर्ण कर रही है.
There would be someone, wouldn't there, children? So definitely the world mother is fulfilling your desires on the basis of Srimad.
तो देखो बरोबर श्री मत पर जगदम्बा चल और बरोबर मनोकामनाएं पूर्ण कर रही है.
So definitely the world mother is following Srimad and fulfilling your desires of your mind.
समझा दिया नहीं कि इस समय में मैं जैसे नैन में प्रवेश करता हूँ नहीं और बच्चों को बैठ के ज्ञान सुनाता हूँ, डायरेक्शंस देता हूँ.
So the Father has explained that just as I incarnate into this one and share knowledge with all of you and give directions, in the same way,
मैं अम्बा के भी शरीर में जाकर करके इनके भी शरीर में जा करके और मैं मुरली भी चलाता हूँ.
I incarnate into the mother's body and also speak Murli through her.
बाबा ने बहुत दफा समझाया. अब उनको पता नहीं पड़ता है, कोई कोई को पता पड़ता है और समझते हैं.
And so Baba has explained this, but only some people understand this. Not everyone does.
तो मेरे में ताकत न थी समझाने की. ये जरूर बाबा ने प्रवेश कर इतनी मुरली चलाई है.
And they come forward and say that I didn't have the power to be able to explain this, and it's as if Baba incarnated into me and explained.
बच्चे जो सच्चे बच्चे होते हैं नहीं, जिनको देहाभिमान नहीं है, वो झट बता देते हैं.
The sincere children who don't have the arrogance of the body share this instantly.
में आता है कि मुरली आज जो चली तो वाह वाह.
And people say that the Murli that was spoken today was just wonderful.
और बच्चे भी समझ जाते हैं आज तो ये ब्रह्मा कुमारी ने कमाल कर दिया मुरली पर.
And children then say that today the Murli of the Brahma Kumaris was an absolute wonder.
कुमारी की कमाल नहीं है. उस समय में बाप कहते हैं मैं प्रवेश कर देता हूँ.
However, it wasn't the wonder of the Brahma Kumaris. At that time the father says, I incarnated.
क्योंकि बच्चों का शो मुझे करना है नहीं ना.
Because I have to glorify the children, I have to show them.
करना है नहीं. वाह, कोई बहुत ही तीखा है.
Wow, this one is really clever.
बच्चा अभी उनको इतना तो नहीं दृष्टि दे सकती है, तो मैं जाकर करके मदद करता हूँ.
And the person explaining can't give them that powerful drishti, and so I go and incarnate and give them that.
अब जो कोई बताते हैं, कोई को अपना देहमान होते हैं जो खुद.
And some admit to this, whereas others have their own arrogance of their body.
नहीं है कि आज तो बाबा नहीं बोली चले, मेरी ताकत नहीं थी, मेरे में.
And they don't say that today Baba spoke the morally. I didn't have the strength to do this.
नहीं था, वो सच नहीं बताती है क्योंकि देहाभिमान है.
They don't like to admit this because they've got the arrogance of the body.
देखते हो बाबा हमेशा कहते रहते हैं कि बच्चे तुम समझ सकते हो बाबा की मुरली, बाबा के महावाक्य और इनके महावाक्य में फर्क निकलते हैं.
And so Baba always says that children, you can always tell that there's a difference between when Baba speaks the morally and when then this one, Brahma, speaks. Because the bestower of divine visions is just the one Father. And so he is the only one with that title. The Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul, is known as the ocean of knowledge, the bestower of visions, the bestower of the divine eye.
और कभी भी कोई मनुष्य को साक्षात्कार नहीं करा सकते कि वो चाबी बाप के पास रहती है.
And this one, Brahma, can never give visions to anyone because the key to giving visions remains with the Father alone.
और देखो बाप साफ कहते हैं नहीं, बताया मैं निष्काम सेवा करता हूँ.
And the Father explains very clearly that, look, I do altruistic, selfless service.
जिसका निष्काम सेवा करने वाला कोई मनुष्य हो नहीं सकते.
And no human being can be altruistic in the way that I am.
वो फिर बताते हैं कि देखो बच्चे तुमको राजयोग सिखलाने आता हूँ, पत्र तो दुनिया में मुझे आना पड़ते हैं.
And then he says, look children, I have to come to teach you, I have to come into this impure world.
पत्र तो सब बुलाते हैं, पत्र तो पावन आओ.
Because it's the impure ones that call me, hey purifier, come.
तो है ना बच्चे, अब इसमें सर्वव्यापी की तो बात ही नहीं हो सकती है.
It's like this, isn't it, children? And so the aspect of omnipresence cannot exist here.
सभी पत्र अपन को जरूर कहते हैं क्योंकि ये है ही तमो प्रधान दुनिया.
Everyone does consider themselves to be impure because this is a Tama Pradhan world.
इसको कहा जाते हैं राक्षसों की दुनिया.
It's known as a devilish world.
की दुनिया, इसका नाम भी ऐसा ही है, रावण राज्य फिर राम राज्य.
It's named like this, like the kingdom of Ravan, and then in contrast there's the kingdom of Ram.
तो आते हैं नहीं दोनों चीजें. तो राम राज्य यानी एक है ईश्वरीय राज्य स्थापन करने का, दूसरा है फिर रावण का.
And what that depicts is that there's one kingdom established by God, and then the other kingdom is Ravan's kingdom,
मनुष्य भ्रष्टाचारी बन जाते हैं,
in which human beings are corrupted.
आकर के समझाते हैं सब बातों को कि देखो,
And it's the Father that comes and explains each and every aspect. That children, look,
ये मैं तो आज तुमको सिखलाता हूँ राजयोग आयकर,
that I come and teach you Raj Yoga.
साधारणता में सिखलाता हूँ राजयोग, और
I come into this ordinary body and teach you Raj Yoga.
राजयोग तो सिखला ही नहीं सके, कोई भी हंस योग सन्यासी राजयोग तो नहीं सिखला सकेंगे ना.
No human being can teach Raj Yoga. No sannyasi from the path of Hatha Yoga can teach Raj Yoga.
क्योंकि वो है निवृत्ति मार्ग,
Because that is the path of solitude, of isolation, being on your own.
योग है प्रवृत्ति मार्ग, उसमें राजा.
Whereas Raj Yoga is the family path, the household path.
तो बरोबर इस भारत में सतयुग के आदि से आदि सनातन देवी देवता धर्म था, और बरोबर श्री लक्ष्मी और श्री नारायण का राज था. ये कोई नई बात नहीं है, तो कॉमन बात है, सब कोई.
And so definitely, since the beginning of the Golden Age, there was the original eternal deity religion, and there was the kingdom of both Lakshmi and Narayan. Now this is nothing new, this is commonly understood.
मंदिर है श्री लक्ष्मी नारायण का, और वो सतयुग के आदि में राज करते थे.
There are many temples to Lakshmi and Narayan, and it is understood that they ruled in Satyug, the Golden Age.
सतयुग के आदि में राज करते थे. अभी ये है कलयुग का अंत, महाभारी.
And so they ruled over everything, and now it's the end of Kali Yuga, the end of the Iron Age.
लड़ाई भी सामने खड़ी है.
And the great war of the Mahabharata is standing in front of you.
समझना चाहिए ना कि कलयुग के अंत में तो बिल्कुल ही इंसॉल्वेंट गवर्नमेंट है.
And so everyone should understand that at the end of the Iron Age, it would be a completely insolvent government.
खुद कहते रहते हैं भ्रष्टाचारी गवर्नमेंट.
It's an impure, and they themselves use this term, a corrupt government.
समझा नहीं, भ्रष्टाचारी राज्य, भाई रावण राज्य.
You understand, don't you, that they use the term a corrupt kingdom, a impure kingdom, the kingdom of Ravan.
कहते हैं हे पतित पावन आओ, पतित.
This is why they call out, "Hey, purifier, come."
सभी, क्योंकि सवा एक के सदगति तो दाता कोई कर नहीं सकते हैं.
Come and give us all salvation, because apart from that one, no one else can grant salvation.
तो देखो वो सदगति दे करके, गति दे करके तुमको राजयोग सिखलाई करके फिर बोलते हैं बच्चे मैं निष्काम सेवा करने वाला हूँ तुम्हारा बाप.
And so I give everyone salvation, and then the Father says, look, I'm the one who does selfless, altruistic service for everyone.
फिर तुम राज करते हो, तो हो गया ना बच्चे भी कलयुग का अंत, और परमपिता परमात्मा हम और तुम बच्चों को राजयोग सिखला रहे हैं.
And then you children rule in the Golden Age. So, children, it's definitely the end of the Iron Age, isn't it? And the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul, has come to teach us Raj Yoga.
राजयोग तो कोई निवृत्ति मार्ग वाले या सन्यासी तो सिखला नहीं सकेंगे ना बच्चे.
No one from that path of aloneness, of isolation, of being single, can teach Raj Yoga. No sannyasi of the path of Hatha Yoga can teach Raj Yoga, can they, children?
कि वो तो घर बार छोड़ते हैं, उसको कहा जाता है निवृत्ति मार्ग.
Because they leave their household, and that's why it's known as the path of aloneness, of isolating themselves.
यह प्रवृत्ति मार्ग.
Whereas this is the household path.
युग में प्रवृत्ति मार्ग निर्विकारी था.
Because in the golden age it was the viceless household path.
कहे जाते थे निर्विकारी दुनिया.
It's been known as the viceless world.
Viceless world. तो ये भारत जब नया था, नई दुनिया थी, तो भारत ही नया था.
The viceless world. So when it was the new world, then this Bharat was new.
तो राज करते थे ये लक्ष्मी नारायण आदि.
And this Lakshmi and Narayan ruled there.
सनातन देवी देवता धर्म उसको कहा.
They're known as part of the original, eternal deity religion.
कोई आर्य धर्म या फलार बलार नहीं कहा जाते हैं, नहीं.
The Arya Dharam or other religions, they are not spoken of as the original eternal religion in this way. No.
आदि सनातन देवी देवता धर्म.
The original, eternal deity dharma religion.
सनातन देवी देवता धर्म प्राय लोप हो गया है.
But this original eternal deity religion has now disappeared.
पवित्र जोड़ा तो है नहीं, न राजा.
Because no one is pure anymore. Neither are the kings pure.
पवित्र है न प्रजा पवित्र है.
Neither are the subjects pure. Neither is the king pure. Neither are the subjects pure.
राजा रानी पवित्र थे और प्रजा भी पवित्र थी.
Definitely, King Ram was pure, and definitely the subjects are also pure.
उसको स्वर्ग या निर्विकारी दुनिया कहा जाता था, यानी
That was known as heaven, or in other words, the viceless world.
तो दूसरा तो कोई था ही नहीं धर्म. अब अनेक धर्म भी है.
And so that was the religion, wasn't it? And there was no other religion at that time, whereas now there are innumerable religions.
आदि सनातन देवी देवता के सिर्फ चित्र रह गए हैं.
And within this world, there's only the pictures of the deities.
न धर्म है न वो कर्म है पवित्रता.
That's right, isn't it, children? Neither is there that religion, neither are there those that perform that karma, that is, the karma of purity.
तो अभी धर्म भ्रष्ट और कर्म भ्रष्ट.
Now, the karma is corrupted, and so the religion is also corrupted.
दुखी है न बरोबर. बात का
And so everyone has become very unhappy.
हो गया नहीं. ये तो कहेंगे ना भारत बिल्कुल ही माला माल था.
And so Bharat has become completely bankrupt. And it would be said that Bharat used to be extremely wealthy.
ये सबसे बड़ा तीर्थ है.
And that this land is actually the highest pilgrimage place.
पतित पावन का जो जन्म गाया जाते हैं कि भाई शिव जयंती व शिवरात्रि.
Because the birth of Shiva, of the purifier, that has been remembered as Shiv Jayanti or Shiv Ratri, the night of Shiva,
तो जरूर अवतार कहा जाते हैं ना इसको.
is definitely referring to his incarnation.
शिव बाबा का, अभी कहेंगे शिव बाबा का अवतार कैसे.
And so we would now say that it was the incarnated Shiv Baba. How?
वो तो मैं एक साधारण तन में प्रवेश करता हूँ, नहीं तो मैं कैसे कोई छोटे बच्चे के उनमें तो नहीं रह करके मैं ज्ञान से रहा हूँ.
I come into this ordinary body and I teach you knowledge. It's not that I come into a small child and then teach you like Sri Krishna.
अभी इसके तो मैं नहीं आकर के शरीर में बिल्कुल में बैठ करके ज्ञान सिखलाऊंगा.
I wouldn't come into his body and teach you knowledge.
ये अनुभवी तो है नहीं, बच्चा है छोटा. अभी तो
He's not experienced, he's just a small child.
कह सकेंगे श्री कृष्ण भगवान वाच्य जो वो लिखा है, जो शुरुआत में जो दिन प्रतिदिन तम प्रदान होती है ना दुनिया.
And they've written God Krishna speaks, but in the beginning it was something different. But day by day the world continues to become tamopradhan.
उसने भगवानो वाच्य समझे ना, और वह है रुद्र ज्ञान यज्ञ.
And so now it's a case of God speaks, and this is the knowledge of Rudra that is being shared with you. This is the sacrificial fire of the knowledge of Rudra. This is not the sacrificial fire of the knowledge of Krishna. They say that God Krishna speaks and that he taught everyone Raj Yoga, but how could he do that? He lives in the golden age. So who is it that said God speaks? That's only the one, isn't it, children? We all remember the purifier, don't we? Because look, everyone goes to the Ganges to bathe, to purify themselves, to try and wash away their sins. And yet at the same time they will sing that, "Hey purifier, come." And that shows that he is actually just the one, isn't he, children? It's not that he is many, but he is definitely just the one. He is remembered the most because in the path of bhakti, all of the devotees remember that one. You understand, don't you? So they go into the Ganges to bathe. Why? And those same people sing, "Hey purifier, come." So that shows that he is just one, doesn't it, children? That's why there's no question of this aspect of omnipresent. He is just one, and he is the most beloved, because on the path of bhakti, all devotees remember that one. But because they don't know that one, on the path of bhakti, they then go down the route of performing sacrificial fires, going on pilgrimages, reading scriptures, etc. बच्चे पढ़ते आए हैं भक्ति मार्ग में पढ़ते आए हैं, कहाँ कभी आकर के कलयुग का अंत बना है सभी. And so the father comes and explains that, children, you've been reading and reading and reading, and you've reached the end of the Iron Age. And everyone just keeps saying, over and over again that, hey, purifier, come.
सब कहते हैं सब भ्रष्टाचारी गवर्नमेंट है।
Everyone says that this is a corrupt government.
भ्रष्टाचार है, माल
There's a lot of corruption, isn't there?
कपट सब बात में झूठी झूठ है। झूठ
There's falsehood in everything. There's deception. There's lies.
काया झूठा सब संसार।
There's a rhyme that says that Maya is false, the body is false, and the whole world is false.
ये किसको कहेंगे? क्या सत्य को कहेंगे? नहीं, दुनिया में सो।
When would one say this? Would one say it in the new world, in heaven?
संसार कहेंगे। क्यों गाया जाते हैं? झूठी माया यानी रावण का राज्य।
But when would it be said? Why would it be said that Maya is false? That is, this kingdom of Ravan.
आसुरी राज्य, आसुरी संप्रदाय, तो होता है झूठी माया, झूठी।
That this devilish kingdom, this devilish community, this is the false Maya,
झूठा सब संसार,
the false body, and the whole world is false.
बाप सिद्ध करके बताते हैं झूठा संसार कैसे है।
And so the Father comes and explains really clearly how the world is false.
बोलते हैं नहीं, मेरे लिए पहले नंबर की झूठ, समझे नहीं कि सर्वव्यापी।
And it's the Father that tells the truth, doesn't he? That the first number lie is that God is omnipresent. That he's in the cats and the dogs and this and that. Look, that's a lie, isn't it? So this is the number one lie. God speaks that I am never omnipresent, never. Never could that be possible, not at all. I come to make the impure pure through teaching Raj Yoga. If he was present in everybody, then how would he teach Raj Yoga? So children understand, don't they, that it's every child that becomes impure. And so it's been remembered that the children of the ocean of knowledge sat upon the pyre of lust and incinerated themselves. And then I come and set them on the pyre of knowledge and make them living once again. And people don't even realize what's happening. We've reached the end of the Iron Age. Death is standing in front of everyone. And some people just keep proposing that the Iron Age is just a small child and there's lots of time left. And they just say that there's still 40,000 years left. And so everyone here understands that when it was time for the entire forest to be set alight, the great sleeping giant of Kumbhakarna had to be awakened only at the end.
Too late.
But then it becomes too late. You understand, don't you, that we keep trying to awaken others over and over again, and if they don't awaken, then at the end they have a great big loss, a great big bang, and then they awaken.
क्या शिक्षा लेंगे, योग में रहेंगे, योग में बहुत रहना पड़ते हैं बच्चे.
But then what will happen? Will they learn knowledge at that time? Will they remain in yoga at that time? But you need a lot of time to stay in yoga.
याद में योग के लिए कोई आसन ही लगाना होते हैं. याद.
It's not a question of just striking a pose at the end. You have to have yoga over a period of time.
ये योग भी अक्षर ठीक नहीं है. याद.
But in fact, Baba says remove this word yoga because it's not really appropriate and replace it with the word remembrance.
कहते हैं हे मेरे लाडले बच्चों, तो देखो बाप परमपिता परमात्मा आत्मा से बात करते हैं.
And so the Father says, hey my precious children, look, the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul, the Father talks to souls, doesn't he?
आत्मा ऑर्गन से बात करते हैं अपने भाई से.
That, hey children, the soul speaks through its organs to its brother.
बात करते आत्मा बात करती है अपने कर्म इंद्रियों से दूसरों से.
And so it's the Father says that it's the soul that speaks through its sense organs to others.
संस्कार रहते हैं अच्छे व बुरे. आत्मा तो कोई निर्लिप्त नहीं हो सकती है ना बच्चे.
And when the soul leaves, it takes with it its sanskars, whether they are good, whether they are bad, because the soul is not immune to the effect of actions.
झूठ बात है ना बाबा.
That's also a falsehood.
झूठी माया, झूठी काया, झूठा सब संसार.
This is why it's been remembered that Maya is false, the body is false, the whole world is false.
कहते हैं कि आत्मा निर्लेप है. अरे भाई निर्लेप आत्मा कैसे हो सकती?
They say that the soul is immune to the effect of any actions. Now, brother, how is it possible that the soul would be immune to anything?
आत्मा खुद कहती है मैं संस्कार अनुसार अच्छे बुरे मैं दूसरा शरीर लेता हूँ.
The soul itself says that according to my sanskars, whether they are good, whether they are bad, I take a next body.
तो समझाते रहते हैं बाप बैठ कर करके और समझा.
And so the Father sits and continues to explain all these things.
अच्छी तरह से हर बात कि देखो जैसे जगदम्बा का आदि निकला अभी.
And he explains each and every aspect in a lot of detail. Look, like this aspect that's just emerged about Jagadamba, the World Mother.
जगदम्बा पर मेला तो लगते हैं बहुत ही. देखो कितना
There's very large gatherings to Jagadamba.
मेला लगते हैं जगदम्बा पर. क्यों लगते हैं?
The devotees hold such large gatherings, such large fairs to Jagadamba, but why do they hold them?
ये पास्ट हो गई है. क्यों लगते हैं? ये पास्ट हो गई है जगदम्बा. क्या कर?
And so many fairs are held to Jagadamba, but why do they hold them? Look, in the past, she must have done something.
यह जगदम्बा. जगदम्बा सभी मनोकामनाएं पूर्ण किए इसलिए उनको कहा गया था कामधेनु.
It's because in the past she fulfilled the desires of everyone's minds, and this is why she's been called Kamdhenu, the cow that fulfills everyone's desires.
अभी कामधेनु सभी कामनाएं पूर्ण करने वाली कोई गैया होती है क्या मेरा?
You understand, don't you? And so this Kamdhenu, the one who fulfills everyone's desires, would it actually be a cow?
नहीं, ये तो मनुष्य होंगे नहीं.
No, it wouldn't be. That would be a person, wouldn't it?
जगदम्बा का कितना है अभी हो गया पास्ट.
And so all of this is now Jagadamba's past.
So present होती है फिर present.
And then after that you have the present.
अभी देखो शिव बाबा को पूजते रहते हैं क्योंकि
So you have the present and the past. Now look, they also continue to worship Shiv Baba.
जो सृष्टि है उनको आकर के शिवालय बनाते हैं.
Why? Because this world, he makes it into the temple of Shiva.
बाबा है ना बच्चे, तो शिव बाबा इस सृष्टि को ये भारत को खास शिवालय बनाते हैं.
Because he's our father, isn't he, children? So Shiv Baba comes and makes this whole world, and in particular this Bharat, into the temple of Shiva.
रावण का राज शुरू होते हैं आधा के.
And then, after half a cycle, the kingdom of Ravan commences,
वैशाल्य बन जाते हैं.
and it becomes a brothel.
ये वैशाल्य है नहीं कहते हैं, नहीं हम पतित है सभी, तो गोया ये वैशाल्य है.
This is Vaishalya, the brothel, where everyone says that they are impure. So this makes it a brothel.
वैशाल्य किसने बनाया? रावण.
Who made it into a brothel, into Vaishalya? Ravan.
बनाया. शिवालय किसने बनाया? बाप ने बनाया. शिव ये खेल है.
And who made it into Shivalya, the temple to Shiv? That would be the father. This is a game.
और बराबर बुद्धि भी कहती है कि शिवालय में सुखी सुख था.
And definitely, the intellect says that in the temple of Shiva there would be nothing but happiness.
एक आदि सनातन देवी देवता धर्म था, वो ये भारत था.
There was the original eternal deity religion in this Bharat.
ऊंचे खंड और कोई है नहीं.
There is no more elevated country than this Bharat.
कहते हैं नहीं कि अगर ये गीता में कृष्ण का नाम न डालते और निराकार परमपिता परमात्मा का नाम डालते, ज्ञान सागर भी तो वही है, तो ये सबसे बड़ा तीर्थ.
And so the father says, doesn't he, that had they not put the name of Sri Krishna as the sermonizer of the Gita, and they had put the name of Shiv Baba, who is in fact the ocean of knowledge, in there, then that was their biggest mistake.
वाले इस तीर्थ को मानते आकर के शिव के ऊपर फूल चढ़ाते.
And so then everyone would remember that Shiva and place flowers upon him.
जो बड़े आदमी मरते हैं उनको ऊपर फूल चढ़ाने आते हैं.
Just like everyone comes here when an important person dies, and they come and place flowers upon him.
भारत है सबसे बड़ा खंड, ऊंचे खंड, सबका तीर्थ.
This is in fact the most elevated land of all. This place is everyone's pilgrimage place.
सबकी सदगति यहाँ आते हैं बाबा, तब सबकी सदगति करते हैं.
Because Baba comes here to give everyone salvation.
तो ये भारत खंड अविनाशी खंड है ना बच्ची.
So this land of Bharat is the imperishable land, isn't it, children?
भारत खंड अविनाशी खंड और भारत ही स्वर्ग था जिसको.
Bharat is the imperishable land, and it also used to be heaven.
भी कहते हैं, हेवन भी कहते हैं.
It's been called and known as heaven.
वो हेवन सो हेल बना है.
And so that heaven then becomes hell.
क्योंकि जो कथा बनी हुई है, हेवन टू हेल, हेल टू हेवन.
There's a story that's been written, heaven to hell, and then hell to heaven.
दूसरा कोई भी हेवन बनता नहीं है खंड, नहीं ये भारतीय खंड हेवन.
No other land becomes heaven. It's only this land of Bharat that was heaven.
इसलिए भारत की बड़ी महिमा है.
And this is why there is great praise of this Bharat.
कितने मंदिर वगैरह कितने भारत में है.
And this is why you can see how many temples there are in Bharat.
वो गए हैं शिव बाबा भी हो गए हैं,
and they are all of those that have gone in the past. Shiv Baba has also been here in the past.
शिव की पूजा इतना शिवालय बनाते हैं या सोमनाथ का मंदिर बनाया अच्छा,
And this is why there's so much worship of Shiva. He made it into the temple of Shiva, and then there was the temple to Shiva in the form of Somnath.
ब्रह्मा विष्णु शंकर कितने मंदिर है इनके,
And then look, there's so many temples to Brahma, Vishnu and Shankar.
सब क्योंकि भारत में जितने मंदिर होते हैं इतना और कोई जगह में नहीं होता है, क्योंकि
If you look, there are more temples in Bharat than there are in any other place.
ये राज करते थे नहीं,
Because these deities actually existed here. They used to rule here.
पूज्य श्री लक्ष्मी नारायण राज करते थे,
Worship worthy Sri Lakshmi and Narayan actually used to rule here.
वो पूज्य श्री लक्ष्मी नारायण उनको फिर पुजारी बनना है,
So that worship worthy Lakshmi and Narayan then have to become worshippers.
ये भगवान को नहीं कहा जाता है आप ही पूजा आप ही पुजारी,
And so one cannot actually say to God, you are worship worthy and also a worshipper.
ये जो देवता थे पूज्य सो फिर पुजारी बनते क्यों,
No, it's actually the deities who become worship worthy and then worshippers.
जन्म तो लेना पड़ते है ना,
Because everyone has to take 21 births, don't they, children?
21 जन्म पूज्य, पीछे जब वहां मार्ग में जाते हैं तो फिर पुजारी बन जाते हैं,
You have 21 births of being worship worthy, and then when they go into the path of vice, then they become worshippers.
तो हो गया नहीं, तो बच्चे अभी कहेंगे हम अभी सो ब्राह्मण है, हम पहले
You children would now say that we are now Brahmins, and previously
शूद्र वर्ण के थे,
we were part of the clan of Shudras.
अभी ब्रह्मावंशी होने के कारण हम ब्राह्मण वंश में आ गए, ब्रह्मा
Now, by being part of the Brahmin clan, we are part of the connection, the family of Brahma.
वंशावली, तो प्रजापिता ब्रह्मा की मुख्य वंशावली तो सभी होते हैं ना,
And we are the mouth-born progeny of Brahma. In fact, everyone is part of the mouth-born progeny of Brahma, aren't they?
शिष्य रखी जाती है तो प्रजापिता ब्रह्मा की मुख्य वंशावली, तो मुख्य
This whole world is created through the mouth-born progeny of Brahma.
कितनी होनी चाहिए, देखो एक और एडॉप्ट कर रहे हैं, परमपिता परमात्मा शिव ब्रह्मा,
You should have so much intoxication, shouldn't you? Because you are being adopted by whom? The Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul.
तो बाप ने बताया नहीं, तो ब्रह्मा ही एक बच्चा है,
And so the Father has explained, hasn't he? That definitely I have one child, Brahma.
द्वारा इतनी पूजा होती है,
And then through this Brahma, they create many people.
एडॉप्ट करते जाते हैं,
That means that I continue to adopt.
तो तुम कह रहे हो अभी वास्तव में सभी प्रजापिता ब्रह्मा का औलाद है जरूर,
In fact, everyone is the child of Prajapita Brahma.
क्योंकि वो बड़ा है, सिजरा है नहीं, कि
Because it's a very large family tree.
को कहता है ग्रेट ग्रेट ग्रैंड फादर,
And this is why Brahma is called the great-great-grandfather.
समझा नहीं, अच्छा सरस्वती ब्रह्मा को कहेंगे प्रजापिता ने, सरस्वती को,
And you understand, don't you? And so now what of Saraswati? If Brahma is called the great-great-grandfather, then Saraswati is?
ग्रैंड मदर
The great-great-grandmother.
क्योंकि सिजरे की उच्च थी, वास्तव में
Because she's a senior within this family tree.
सभी पहले पहले बरादरी ब्राह्मण होती, पीछे बरादरी
Initially, the gathering is of the Brahmins. And then you've got the sort of family tree of the deities, and then after that the family tree of the warriors, and then the family tree of merchants, and at the end you have the family tree of Shudras.
नहीं तो है सभी पहले पहले इनका ग्रेट ग्रैंडफादर सबका जिस्मानी प्रजापिता ब्रह्मा.
And so that makes the great great grandfather of everyone in the physical form this Prajapita Brahma.
रूहानी तो शिव बाबा है ही है.
The spiritual father always is that one Shiv Baba.
इसको शिव ही कहते हैं. शिव का नाम नहीं बदलते हैं ना बच्चे, तो कोई यहाँ भी.
And he is always just called Shiv. His name doesn't change, does it, children?
बदलते नहीं है. वो बताइए कि मेरा शरीर सही है. बाकी
He doesn't have a body, does he? And he comes and says, I don't have a body, do I?
माया पुनर्जन्म लेती है, शरीर का नाम बदलते जाते हैं.
All of you children continue to take rebirth, and so everyone's name continues to change.
का नाम तो नहीं बदलते हैं बच्ची ना.
But Shiv Baba's name doesn't change, does it, daughter? No.
मैं खुद कहती है एक शरीर छोड़ दूसरा लेती हूँ. एक शरीर.
The soul says themselves that I leave one body and take another.
तो फिर खुद आकर के समझाते बच्चे मैं सर्वव्यापी कैसे हो सकता हूँ.
And so the father comes himself and explains that children, how could I be omnipresent?
मेरे को कहते हैं पतित पावन. सो बरोबर ये कहते हैं कि पतित पावन आते हैं कलयुग के अंत में.
I am known as the purifier, and so the purifier would definitely come at the end of the Iron Age.
स्थापन करते हैं सत्य तो जरूर
to establish the pure golden aged world.
दुनिया वो स्थापन करेंगे नहीं तो गाय.
So definitely he would be the one who establishes that golden age, wouldn't he?
जाते हैं कि बरोबर त्रिमूर्ति होते हैं नहीं कहते थे त्रिमूर्ति ब्रह्मा. अभी
And so it's been remembered that there is a trinity, and so at the start of that trinity they say Trimurti Brahma, the trinity of Brahma.
ब्रह्मा तो क्या उसका अर्थ तो कोई निकलती नहीं है. वो फिर समझ.
But if you say that Trimurti Brahma, you lose the meaning of it.
ब्रह्मा को तीन मुख है. अरे तीन मुख वाला कोई मनुष्य होता है क्या?
They then depict Brahma with three faces. Now, children, is there any person with three faces?
नाम ही अलग रखते हो ब्रह्मा विष्णु और शंकर.
They even keep three different names, Brahma, Vishnu and Shankar.
कहते हो ब्रह्मा द्वारा स्थापना.
And then they'll say that it's actually establishment through Brahma.
द्वारा विनाश फिर विष्णु द्वारा पालना.
And you'll say that it's sustenance through Vishnu and sustenance through Shankar. And destruction.
तो बरोबर जिनको राजयोग सिखलाते हैं वो फिर जाके.
And destruction through Shankar. And definitely he teaches Raj Yoga through him.
कहते हैं लक्ष्मी नारायण तो दोनों को मिला करके सूखे मतलब में विष्णु को दिखलाते हैं.
And so they say that this is Lakshmi and Narayan, and then they combine both of them and depict them in the subtle region as Vishnu.
अभी त्रिमूर्ति ब्रह्मा तो क्या उसका अर्थ तो कोई निकलती नहीं है. वो फिर समझते हैं ब्रह्मा को तीन मुख है.
Now they then think that Brahma had three faces. Now, is there such a person with three faces?
वाला कोई मनुष्य होता है क्या? नाम ही अलग रखते हो ब्रह्मा विष्णु और शंकर.
They then keep three separate names for Brahma, Vishnu and Shankar.
कहते हो ब्रह्मा द्वारा स्थापना, शंकर द्वारा विनाश, फिर विष्णु द्वारा पालना.
You then say that it's establishment through Brahma, destruction through Shankar, and sustenance through Vishnu.
तो बराबर जिनको राजयोग सिखलाते हैं वो फिर जाके पालना कहते हैं और लक्ष्मी नारायण तो दोनों को मिलाए करके सूक्ष्म मतलब में विष्णु को दिखलाते हैं.
And so definitely those that have been taught Raj Yoga, they'll then go and sustain over there. That is Lakshmi and Narayan, and then they combine the two of them and depict them as Vishnu in the subtle regions.
ब्रह्मा द्वारा स्थापना तो जिस ब्रह्मा द्वारा स्थापना ब्रह्मण और ब्रह्मणों को ज्ञान देने वाला शिव बाबा.
And so establishment through Brahma, and so the one who gave knowledge to the Brahmins, the male and female Brahmins who are created through Brahma, is that one Shiv Baba.
वो फिर राजयोग है नहीं तो फिर जाकर लक्ष्मीनारायण बनते हैं तो जोड़ा दिख.
And so it's Raj Yoga, isn't it? Because then they go and become Lakshmi and Narayan, the couple,
trinity मार देता है.
which is the symbol of the household path.
तो अभी तुम फिर से कहते हैं वर्ल्ड की हिस्ट्री रिपीट.
And so now, once again, because it's said that the history of the world repeats.
तुम थे भारत में देवी देवताएं फिर क्षत्रिय बने फिर वैश्य बने फिर शूद्र बने अभी ब्राह्मण बने हो.
You were deities in Bharat, you then became warriors, you then became merchants, you became Shudras, and now you've become Brahmins once again.
समझे नहीं. और फिर इस समय में अगर कोई हिसाब करे तो कहेंगे प्रजापिता ब्रह्मा और जगदम्बा सरस्वती वो है ग्रेट ग्रेट ग्रैंड ऊपर में होते हैं नहीं जैसे फादर.
And you understand, don't you? And if anyone were to think about it properly, then they would say that Prajapita Brahma and the World Mother at this time, they are the great great grandfather.
ग्रैंडफादर ग्रेट ग्रैंडफादर पे चला जाओ नहीं तो ये धर्म भी ऐसा ही है. पहले
And so they're the great great grandfather. People use this term, don't they? Great grandfather. So this religion is also like that.
आदि सनातन देवी देवता धर्म समझा नहीं.
This is the original eternal deity religion being established. You understand, don't you?
कैसे स्थापन हुआ. लक्ष्मी को ग्रैंड मदर नहीं कहेंगे. नारायण
It's being established once again. One wouldn't say that Lakshmi is the grandmother or that Narayan is the grandfather.
ग्रैंड मदर नहीं कहेंगे. ना ना उनको तो महाराजा कहेंगे महारानी फर्स्ट.
No, one would call them the first emperor and empress.
फर्स्ट महारानी पूज्या.
They are the first empress of the golden age. They are completely worship worthy.
अभी ऐसे कहेंगे हम सब पूज्य देवी देवता थे.
We would now say that we were those worship worthy deities.
हम सो का अर्थ वो तो कहते हैं हम आत्मा सो परमात्मा.
And so it's important to understand the meaning of this Sanskrit term, Ham So, because they will say that it's I the soul am the supreme soul.
आत्मा यह तो उल्टा निकाल दिया. नहीं तो तुम क्या कहेंगे. हम इस समय में सो ब्रह्म है. हम पहले फिर इनके बाद सो देवता बनेंगे.
Whereas what would you say? You would say at this time, I am a Brahmin, and that after this, I will become a deity.
सो देवता से हम सो क्षत्रिय बनेंगे चंद्रवंशी में आएंगे. फिर हम सो चंद्रवंशी से सो वैश्य वंश में आएंगे क्योंकि जन्म तो लेना पड़ता है नहीं 84.
And that you would say that we will become a deity, and then I will become a warrior, and then I will become a merchant. Because you have to take 84 births, don't you?
इसके लिए वर्ण गायित गए हैं.
And this has been memorialized in the caste system.
फिर वैश्य तो शूद्र बनेंगे.
After being a merchant, you will all become Shudras.
जन्म लेंगे हम सब शूद्र फिर अभी ब्राह्मण बने.
You will take 84 births, and then, after being Shudras, I am now a Brahmin again.
सब ब्राह्मण फिर सब देवता बनेंगे.
And then, I, the Brahmin, will become the deity again.
जन्म का भी दो साथ चाहिए ना, सब तो.
And so one should understand all these aspects clearly, shouldn't one?
जन्म नहीं लेते नहीं, दूसरे जो धर्म है पीछे पीछे आते हैं उनका.
Not all religions take all of these births. Those religions that come a little bit later,
जन्म होगा तो मैथमेटिक्स का भी तो हिसाब है नहीं.
they will take fewer births because it's also a calculation of mathematics.
तो बाप बैठ करके ये सारा चक्कर कैसा फिरता है वो तुमको बैठ करके समझाते हैं फिर काल जाते.
And so the Father sits here and explains to you the whole of this cycle and how it turns, and he makes you into Trikaldarshi, the seer of the three aspects of time.
और तो कोई जानते ही नहीं है.
And no one else even knows this.
कोई भी मनुष्य मात्र से दुनिया में ये स्वदर्शन सृष्टि का चक्कर कैसे फिरता है, 84 जन्म पहले पहले कौन लेते हैं.
No human being knows how this cycle turns, how initially the deities, who was there at the beginning and who takes 84 births.
कहते हैं आत्माएं और परमात्मा.
And so this is why it's been remembered that there's a distinction between the soul and the Supreme Soul.
अलग रहे बहुकाल है, ठीक है ना, अभी सर्वव्यापी का ज्ञान तो उठ गया नहीं.
And that they remained separated for a long period of time. So within that remembrance, there's no mention of omnipresence, is there?
फिर कहते हैं आत्माएं परमात्मा अलग रहे बहुकाल.
So then they say, the soul and the Supreme Soul remained separated for a long period of time.
सुंदर मेला यानी ऑस्पिशियस ये मिलन.
There was then a beautiful meeting, that is, an auspicious meeting.
का ये मिलन किसका? आत्माएं और परमात्मा.
A meeting of who? The soul and the Supreme Soul.
इससे कौन सी जीवात्माएं जो पहले पहले आती है?
And which souls? It was of human souls who came right at the beginning of the cycle.
तो पहले पहले से भारत में देवी देवताओं के धर्म होते हैं वही
And in Bharat, it's the deity religion that's first.
करते हैं तो जरूर पिछाड़ी में भी तो उनसे ही पहले मिलेंगे.
They are the ones who became separated first, and so at the end of the cycle, they would be the ones who would meet first.
तो भी आदि सनातन देवी देवता धर्म की जो आत्माएं थी जीवात्मा जो पुनर्जन्म लेकर के अभी शूद्र बने हैं वो फिर वही आएंगे आकर के तो सैकड़ों.
And so, the souls who were in the original eternal deity religion and have taken rebirth and become Shudras at the end of the cycle, they are the ones who will come again. You understand, don't they? You don't you? Because in between, they've all become converted. Some went into the Buddhist religion, some became Hindus, some went into all sorts of other religions, some might have become part of the Arya Samaj religion. But not one person remained part of the deity religion. No one believes themselves to be part of the original eternal deity religion. If you ask people, what they'll say is that we're part of the original eternal Hindu religion. But Hindu is the name of a place. It's not a religion.
अभी देखो बाप कितना अच्छी तरह से बैठ करके समझाते हैं और देखो फिर कोई समझते हैं कोई लंबी समझते हैं सभी तो.
And so the father comes and explains so clearly, and some understand and some don't understand.
कि बम पिता परमात्मा अल्लाह श्री लक्ष्मी ऐसे कहते हैं ना जो कोई बात बनाइए उनको ज्ञान अमृत का कलश मिला.
And so it's been remembered in the scriptures how the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul, then gave the urn of nectar to Sri Lakshmi.
असुरों को देवता बनाने के लिए पिलाती रही.
And that she continued to give the devils nectar in order to make them into deities.
फिर कोई असुर वो भी आकर के बैठे समझे नहीं ऐसे कहते.
And so the devils might also come and sit in the gathering. You would say that, wouldn't you? You understand?
फिर उसने सुन करके फिर जा करके और वो उल्टा सुल्टा बताया.
And so then such people might go from the gathering and then share all sorts of negative things with others. You understand, don't you?
क्योंकि उस धर्म का नहीं था वो उल्टा सुल्टा समझा तो जाके दूसरों को बताया तो घमसान मचाया बहुत. समझे नहीं ये भी आखानियां है ना बरोबर क्योंकि तुम्हारा अभी दैवी संप्रदाय.
This is definitely a kingdom, isn't it? Because you are now part of the divine deity community.
अभी तुम पावन बनने के लिए पुरुषार्थ कर रहे हो.
They are impure and you are making effort to become pure.
तो पावन नहीं कह सकती हो ना बच्ची. तुम पावन बनने के लिए पुरुषार्थ करती रहो.
You can't call yourselves pure, no daughter. You have to continue to make effort to become pure.
कराते पुरुषार्थ पतित पावन.
And who is it that makes you make this effort? The purifier.
तुम पावन बन जानी ही है जरूर.
And you definitely have to become pure.
जरूर स्थापन होंगी.
Because the new world is definitely to be established.
अनेक धर्म विनाश होने का जरूर है.
The innumerable religions are definitely going to be destroyed.
युग पूरा होते फिर सतयुग शुरू जरूर होगा.
Because if the Iron Age ends, then the Golden Age will definitely commence.
सतयुग के आदि सनातन देवी देवता धर्म तो यह संगम पर नहीं तो तुम.
And so, the original eternal deity religion would be established now at the Confluence Age.
ये संगम है बाकी मनुष्यों के लिए है कलयुग.
So for you children, it's currently the Confluence Age, whereas for all other human beings, it's still the Iron Age.
जो फिर मनुष्य समझते कलयुग तो अभी 40,000 बरस है तो.
And then human beings still understand that there are 40,000 years left of the Iron Age.
घोर अध्याय में है यहाँ.
Well, they're in deep darkness.
सामने है और वो कहते हैं कलयुग तो 40,000 अभी बरस है.
Death is standing in front of them, and then they say that there's still 40,000 years left of the Iron Age.
समझे. अब ये शास्त्र में गाया हुआ है और बाप आके समझाते हैं बच्चे जो भी वेद ग्रंथ यज्ञ तप दान पुण्य वगैरह ये सब भक्ति मार्ग की शान.
Because it's written like this in the scriptures, but the Father comes and explains that all of these sacrificial fires, all of these donations, all of these pilgrimages, all of these scriptures, they're all just part of the path of bhakti.
इनसे कोई भी मुझे प्राप्त हो नहीं सकते.
And no one can attain me through them.
क्योंकि गाते ही है मुझे कि पतित पावन आओ.
Because they themselves say, hey purifier, come.
पूरी पतित हो जाती है कलयुग पूरा हो जाते हैं तभी तो मैं आऊंगा नहीं.
And I would come when everyone becomes completely impure, when it is the complete end of the Iron Age.
मैं युग युग में आके क्या करूंगा.
What would I do coming in every age?
मैं आता ही हूँ जब के इस पतित दुनिया को पावन बनाना है.
I would come when the impure world has to be purified. That is, the impure world has to be made new. Look, children, what has to happen is that the golden age has to become the silver age, definitely. That is, the degrees definitely have to reduce. And then, as the degrees reduce in the silver age, the copper age definitely has to come. And so this is known as the stage of descent. And then by continuing to descend, it's now become the end of the Iron Age, the Tamopradhan world. And now for you, it's your stage of ascent, your stage of ascending. But who is it the stage of descending for? Well, actually, the whole world. Because they are the masters of the whole world. So it's now the whole world that's in its stage of ascending, because he is the one bestower of salvation for all. And then you definitely go and claim the fortune of your kingdom, and everyone else receives liberation, mukti. Whether they practice or whether they don't. But they would definitely still attain their liberation. Because they have to settle everything, because this is the time of settlement. So this is the time of settlement, isn't it, children? So everyone has to clear their karmic accounts and then return home. And everyone has to play this game. And then, once again, the deity religion will commence, and no other religion will be there at that time. And then from the Copper Age, the other religions will come. And this story that's known as a katha, a story, it's actually made upon Bharat. It's based and focused upon Bharat. Heaven is also existing in Bharat. And then the Father comes and explains how it then becomes hell. And then also how hell becomes heaven again. So this is the story. So this is the story of the true Narayan that the Father explains. Whether they practice or not practice, everyone definitely has to return back. You understand, don't you? Because everyone has to settle, Because this is the time of settlement, isn't it, daughter?
इसको कहा जाता है अंग्रेजों में segregation का time.
In English, it's called the time of segregation.
सबको हिसाब किताब करके फिर वापस जाना है, फिर
in which everyone has to settle their karmic accounts and return back.
फिर नए सिर सबको खेल करना है.
And then everyone has to start the game, the play once again.
फिर से देवी देवता धर्म, फिर सूर्यवंशी धर्म, फिर वो दूसरे धर्म होंगे ही नहीं.
And then once again, the deity religion will exist and the other religions won't be there.
पीछे द्वापर से फिर दूसरे धर्म आएंगे.
And then it's from the Copper Age that the other religions will come.
आखानी ये जो कहा जाते स्टोरी कथा सब बनी हुई है भारत के ऊपर.
And this story is focused upon Bharat.
भारत स्वर्ग, भारत नरक, भारत.
It's Bharat that was heaven and it's Bharat that is hell.
नरक कैसे बनते हैं, फिर नरक से स्वर्ग कैसे बनते हैं, ये है कथा.
The story is of how heaven becomes hell and how hell becomes heaven.
कहा जाता है सत्यनारायण की कथा.
It's been remembered that there is a story of the true Narayan.
समझाते हैं नरक को नारायण बना की सच्ची कथा.
And so the Father comes and explains that this is the true story of how a person becomes Narayan.
कभी तुम सच्ची वो जो कथाएं सुनते थे, झूठी माया, झूठी का झूठा सब संसार, झूठी कथाएं.
So you are listening to the true stories. The stories that you listened to before, that's all part of the false Maya, the false body, and the false world. These are all false stories. The story of the true Narayan, the story of immortality, the story of the third eye. They're all false, and this is the true story. Because it's the Father who relates this story, and it's only the one who is called the truth. You understand, don't you? That the Father is called the truth, the real one. He is the only one who will share with you reality. And because when human beings speak their reality, it's not the same. This is the one that speaks such reality that there isn't even a trace of falsehood inside of it. And this is why that is known as heaven, because no one speaks any falsehood there. It's only when the kingdom of Maya commences that this whole aspect of the false body, the false Maya, the false world commences. And we reach a point where the whole world is tamopradhan and is completely false. And there's such a level of falsehood that there isn't even a trace of truth remaining. And that's when the truth has to come and share such reality that there isn't even a trace of falsehood within that reality. You now understand all of these things very well, don't you? Okay, it's now time, daughter. And so, children, the soul comes from a faraway land. It's said that that is the land of nirvana for souls.
Incorporeal world.
Or the incorporeal world. That is the incorporeal world. In Hindi, Nirakari Dunya. You understand, don't you? It's not that that is the land of Brahm and that we are Brahm. No, it's the soul that lives inside of the land of Brahm. It's not that the soul is called Brahm or the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul is called Brahm. Or the element, no. You might have heard of the Tattva Yogis, children, and these Tattva Yogis, they believe in the great element of light as being God. They believe that the aim of their spirituality is to merge into that great element of light. That's their thoughts, meaning that according to the drama, that's the knowledge that's inside of their intellect. And so the Father comes and explains that Brahm is actually the great element of light. Just as you have the sky, and inside of the sky human beings live. In the same way, souls live in that great element of light and then incarnate down here into a body and play their parts. Where do souls come from? From the Supreme Abode. You understand, don't you? And so the Father would also have to come from the Supreme Abode because he is the purifier. So those that have been incinerated on the pyre of lust, who's going to awaken them and make them alive again? And so the Father says, I also come from up above to make the impure ones pure. And I have to come into an impure body to do this. Because there's not even one pure body here. And so the Father comes here and explains that no, it's actually your soul that has become impure. I come and give that an injection. This is a spiritual injection. So children, you have to now become pure. You know the pure gold that you were? You've now become false. There's an alloy that's been mixed inside of you.
Golden aged, silver aged, copper aged, iron aged.
So this is called golden aged, silver aged, copper aged, and then iron aged. And now in this birth, in everyone's soul, these alloys have been mixed, and this is why they've become false. And this is why it said, a tamo pradhan soul.
तो आत्मा तमो प्रधान अल्लाह है तो तमो प्रधान शरीर भी है.
And so if there's a tamo pradhan alloy inside of the soul, there would also be a tamo pradhan body.
सोना है तो सच्चा जेवर है.
When you are true gold, then there will be true jewelry.
सोने में अल्लाह है तो झूठा जेवर भी हो जाता.
If there's alloy within the gold, then the jewelry made out of that is also false.
ऐसे तो नहीं हो सकते नहीं कि सोने में अल्लाह न पड़ने से सोना और जेवर झूठा तो जरूर बनेंगे नहीं.
It's not possible that you put alloy in true gold and then for that jewelry to not be false.
नहीं तो सच्चा तो सतयुग में सभी आत्माएं हैं पवित्र.
And so in the golden age, all souls are pure.
प्रकृति भी है पवित्र.
And the 5 elements of nature are also pure.
ये प्रकृति जैसे शरीर बनता है वो भी तो झूठी.
Here, the nature, the 5 elements which make up the body, that's also false here.
सभी झूठे. समझे?
The soul is false here as well. You understand, don't you?
तमो प्रधान देखो
That means tamo pradhan.
आकाश में वो वायु लग जाते हैं, तूफान लग जाते हैं, बोल दो.
Look, even in the sky, there's all sorts of storms, there's all sorts of strong winds.
फलार हो जाते हैं. सतयुग में ऐसे तो नहीं होगा नहीं बच्ची.
But all of these strong weather phenomena don't exist in the golden age, do they, children?
ना वहाँ कोई भी दुख की बात नहीं.
No, there's nothing of sorrow there.
अरे जो तत्व है नहीं वो भी तुम्हारे गुलाम बन जाते हैं.
These same elements there become your slaves.
तुमने कभी भी दुख नहीं दे सकते, इसलिए
And they could never give you sorrow.
तो उनको स्वर्ग आ जाते हैं.
This is why it's called heaven.
तो स्वर्ग में ही जाने वाले या देवी देवता बनने वाले ही ये ज्ञान उठा सकेंगे.
And so only those that are going to become residents of heaven, that is, those who are going to become deities, can take up this knowledge.
कभी कोई उठा ही नहीं सकेंगे भले कितना भी कोई सुने.
Others will not be able to take up this knowledge, doesn't matter how much they listen to it.
पीछे छूटी देंगे नीचे सिकिला दे पीछे पीछे पीछे.
So let's start from, go backwards a little bit. So then to the sweetest, beloved, long lost, go back.
नीचे सिकिला दे बचे अतांत फिर
To the sweetest, beloved, long lost, that means
5000 वर्ष बाद फिर
those children who have come again after 5,000 years
आए करके मिले हुए
and have met the Father
से वर्षा लेने वाले.
and are claiming their inheritance.
वर्षा घुमाया हुआ है ना बच्ची. देखो
You've come again, haven't you, children?
कंगाल है नहीं तो बाप आते हैं भारत में शिव.
Because Bharat is bankrupt now, isn't it, children? And so the Father comes in Bharat. Look, there's Shiv Jayanti.
ईश्वर का मंदिर सोमनाथ का मंदिर में यहाँ बन.
There's the temples to Shiva, there's the temple to Somnath. They're all made here in Bharat, aren't they?
यहाँ आते हैं क्यों? भारत को स्वर्ग बनाने.
So why does he come here? To make Bharat into heaven.
फिर से भारत को नर्क कौन बनाते हैं? ये राम.
And then, who makes Bharat into hell again? That's Ravan.
5 विकार देह
That is, the 5 vices, the arrogance of the body.
फिर काम क्रोध लोभ मोह.
And then, lust, anger, greed, attachment.
नंबर 1 है देह अभिमान.
But number 1 among them is the arrogance of the body.
पीछे है ये 5 विकार.
After that are these 5 vices.
तो वहाँ रहते हैं देही अभिमानी. यहाँ
And there in heaven, everyone remains free from this arrogance of the body.
देह अभिमानी. तभी कहते हैं बच्चे देही अभिमानी भव.
This is why it is said, Hey children, may you be free from the arrogance of the body.
यानी ये जो शरीर है नहीं, इनका भी त्याग कर देह.
That means this body, renounce even that.
जो भी तुम्हारे संबंध है, गुरु साईं चाचा काका मामा चाचा जो कुछ है उनको भूल.
Whatever are your relations, your uncles, your different gurus, all these relations, forget them all and consider yourself to be a soul.
एक बाप को याद करो, इससे
And remember the Father.
अग्नि से तुम्हारा जो विकर्म है नहीं, वो दग्ध हो जाएगा.
And then through the fire of this yoga, whatever are your sins, they will all be finished off.
फिर पवित्र बन जाएंगे.
And then you will become completely Satapradhan.
ऐसे सिखलाने दे बच्चों पर माता पिता बाप दादा का याद प्यार और गुड मॉर्निंग.
Okay, to the sweetest beloved, long lost and now found children, love, remembrance and good morning from the mother and father.